Welcome back, everybody, to A&M Reviews. It's Muhammad and Adrian, and today we're going to give our top 5 best and top 5 worst films of 2024. So we'll start with the worst films. And you can also have some honorable mentions if you have any. Do you have any for the worst?
I don't know if I have any honorable mentions. Let me look back at
Or
this list.
dishonorable mentions?
Um, right, for this one. Um, what did I not
If
put
not,
on
then
here?
yeah, if not, you can just start with your number 5.
Go. Yeah. The least of the worst is Divorce in the Black. So that was
Okay, I knew one Tyler Perry movie had to be on here.
yeah, we got two, maybe. But yeah, Divorce in the Black, definitely, definitely there. It was enticing. I mean, the ads for it were interesting. The casting was interesting. You know, Kelly and but just start to finish, the story just makes less and less sense as you watch it. Um, and it makes it seem as though it's supposed to be a lot better than it is somehow, but just comes across very unfinished, and it goes for shock value to replace what is lacking in storytelling.
Yeah, the shock value only lasts after 10 minutes. And I actually did go for it. Like that actually did draw me in that first 10 to 15 minutes with the whole funeral scene, and them dragging him out of the out of the coffin. Um, but I don't have it on my list. Not on either, definitely not the best, but not on my worst list. It's still not a good movie, not at all. But you definitely should expect a Tyler Perry film to be on this list for me, on the worst list. But I mean, I thought the acting was fine. Not too bad. I know you didn't like is it Corey Hardick, his acting?
Also, I realized it's the wrong name. I'm looking at the list. I said Kelly. I meant to say Megan. Um, I'm thinking about a different movie on the list. But now you know where I'm going with that one. But yeah, yeah. I didn't care for the acting. It felt very amateur. It. I was taken out of it the whole time, asking
I mean,
myself, why are they doing it this way?
I was into it, but my interest started to wane as the movie went on. Because it started off with that high and then just kept going down. Um, but it was actually pretty easy for me to make this top 5 worst list. I actually had a little bit too many. So I do have some honorable mentions or dishonorable mentions. And my first one, well, it might be actually on your top 5, is Madam Web. That one was pretty
Yeah, that's
bad.
on the list.
Another Sony Spider-Man spin-off film that didn't go well. And it's just not good. Um, you know, just don't watch it. I'm pretty sure nobody did watch it. And I think it ended what plans Sony had for spin-off Spider-Man films. And another one, I think you did like this movie, but Civil War, um,
It's
I
on your
thought it was,
worst list.
yes, it was just so boring,
It was
so
cinematic. It was a
cinematically
think
boring.
piece.
It was boring. Emphasis
It
on
was
boring.
storytelling through the lens of a photographer.
Boring. I mean,
Suspenseful. Were they going to get killed on
boring.
the way there?
Who
Were
cares?
they from the
They're
right states?
photographers.
The mass graves.
Yeah,
The
I
old
mean,
black guy who was too old for the trip but did it anyway.
they're
One
photographers.
last hurrah.
They're they're the least interesting characters and this movie shows that it.
And it's a perspective we don't often get, but it
We
was
don't need it
beautiful.
anymore. That's it. Don't do it anymore. We didn't ask for this.
And and I don't think you could have made a Civil War movie differently without it coming across as extremely political. And somehow, with this being the way it was, it didn't feel political. I felt like you could put any category of person there and it wouldn't be offensive to any particular side, but every side could see it as possible.
Yeah, but I also didn't feel anything. Like nothing at all. I just felt like, when is this movie gonna end? That's what I
Well,
wanted. So-
well, I'm
I
curious
mean,
what your actual list looks like if this is just an honorable mention.
well, I mean, a lot of stuff that we reviewed, maybe not a lot, but a fair amount was pretty bad. Um, and we probably have some of the same stuff, but
Yeah,
yeah, I really just did not like this movie, Civil War. Um, it was so boring. Like, I'm like, why did you choose the least interesting type of people to follow? Why?
because if
I,
because in a Civil War, what you don't want is, which was still a good movie for what it was worth, but the movie When the World Ends or something, what was it called? I forget.
the
Um,
Netflix movie.
yes, with the Teslas getting stuck on the road
Mm-hmm.
um and everything. That movie is good. It's not relatable because I can't afford a vacation home like that. If the world's ending, I'm downtown. What's happening there? So I feel like this was almost like a documentary of something that didn't happen yet. Because you see regular people and what it would be like going through that kind of a thing. It
I
would be
I
like
think I would have.
if we got some there was a TV show, it was DC, did not work out. But Vanessa Hudgens, I think, was the lead actress in it. And it was like
When
the
this come out?
everyday people. This is a while ago. The superheroes weren't the focus, but it was just what is life like in a world of superheroes, um, and the mess they leave behind, essentially. It was a comedy. Let me see if I can find the name of this. Let me see, show. It was
So was she
Powerless,
like a
is what it was
regular
called.
person? Like we were getting the view from them?
Yeah, just regular people living in this world. So Powerless, it's 2017. Um, it says Emily Locke lands her dream job as a director of research and development for Wayne Security in Charm City, home to superheroes, supervillains, and everyday citizens fed up with the collateral damage of their constant super fighting. It's full of confidence and big ideas about how to make life safer for the population. Emily quickly learns that this aspiration um, far exceed what her new boss can do, and so on. So essentially, they're like the insurance company for the superheroes' messes, for the everyday people dealing with superhero messes. So if the Hulk is on Main Street tearing it up to beat some alien up, you got to get to work, right? Your car was just thrown across the town and it's totaled. How do you file a claim for that? You know, what are the everyday people doing in these universes? I want to know. And we got to see what happens if there's a civil war from those who be documenting history's perspective. So I get why it's boring, but I get what I did it to.
Well, all of that sounds good in theory, you know, getting the everyday people's perspective. But then you get shows like Agents of Shield, and that is incredibly boring. and,
I don't know.
and you
It's
wish you
not
had the
because of the
superheroes in it.
subject. It- it's boring because it's too focused on the heroes that are not there, whereas this is truly focused on the boring people. Um, but Agents of Shield, I think, was boring because you want the superheroes, and it's not as good as Law and Order. That's what it is. It's the FBI, CIA. It's one of those shows, but it just wasn't written as well.
No,
So that's unfortunate.
I
So
stopped
we
after the
have
first
regular
season.
shows. I mean, that's more than that much. So, we have those kinds of things that people watch all the time. It just wasn't written well, right? There's no reason that Law and Order SVU has so many seasons out, and Agents of Shield couldn't do it. It was just the writer wasn't good.
No, no. It there was too many times where they, I don't know, like they would hint towards like the superheroes. Maybe you get like a little, I don't know, their glove, their cape, or something like that. But it was just like, this is so boring. Like, why am I wasting my time with these hour-long episodes? Like, this is trash. I don't, I don't want to watch this anymore. Um, but that's kind of what this was for me. Um, I kind of wish like we got more than just their perspective. It would have been fine to just get their perspective, but also maybe get the perspective of some of the people that were causing some of this ruckus. Like what Jesse Plemons. Maybe see what led up to his point just a little bit. I mean, I don't have to have his whole backstory, but get different sides, and then get to the point where it leads up to that ending point where we get to the White House. We don't have to pick a side or anything, but give us something else. Like those people were so boring. I did not care that the main character from Spider-Man, uh, Mary Jane, I didn't care that she died. Not one bit. Just like the girl who was taking a picture of her dying. She didn't care. Um, I didn't care about her dying. I mean, she didn't really bring anything to the movie for me. None of them
Well,
did. But it, yeah, I just didn't like this at all.
I think it was good, just not the kind of movie you wanted to see. But I think it was good.
Maybe. um, but my number five is Joker Foley Adu. Um, this is not a good movie. It's a complete movie. It has a beginning, middle, and end. So I'll give it credit for that. But
It's a complete movie. That's one way to
uh,
say it.
yeah, I mean DC in the past didn't make complete movies. We had to have DLC, but we had a complete movie this time. But yeah, this is not a good movie. They try to make it into a musical, have a lot of dream sequences that just don't work out at all. Um, the singing, don't like it. Uh, the story, trash. Just a huge disappointment. I don't think
Yeah.
there's anybody defending this movie. Um, but
No,
yeah, it's
it's
just
getting
not
a
good.
Razzie. It's I forgot about this movie.
You
It's not
forgot?
on my list.
It should
I
be.
forgot about it. I forgot that it was last year, and it wasn't on my list. However, it is now my number one worst movie. Actually, so I forgot. Um, but yeah, it's the definition of trash. It is. I've never seen a franchise burn itself down so quickly ever. It was like worse than back in the day when you had uh, a movie go have a sequel that's on VHS with none of the original actors. It was worse than that. And we had an upgrade. We had Lady Gaga in this. Um,
With no auto
and
tune.
with no auto tune. And so, but we're left with her getting two pumps from the skeleton. And that's just about an image that we needed to see. And the music was too much. Stop singing. And someone said that in the movie, and I was like, yes, shut up. This is too much. Get back to the story, please. Go back to the court. Um, it was I don't know what DC's doing. They take their winners and they just wash them up. It's hard to be a DC fan. It's self-sabotaging. I don't under Why would you do that? The Joker, the first one, had so much praise. And I didn't like it as much as most people, but it was decent.
Yeah.
It got so much praise. To just crap on it like that. Like it's almost disrespectful that these actors are the same people. Because you were there for the first one, right?
Yeah.
And you just decided to change the character up like this, and everybody agreed and thought it was going to be the better movie. I mean, the promotion for this was off the charts,
I
and
mean,
this is what we got.
they did kind of warn us and say that was going to be a musical. So,
No, no, no. That's not why it was bad. It was bad because it was a bad musical. Okay, it wasn't. That's not even why it was bad. It was a bad musical. Music didn't ruin the movie. The movie ruined the movie itself. Happened to
yeah,
have music
he lost all that weight. Suffered, starved himself
again.
for this.
It, I, I just don't get it. I forgot about that one. Makes me upset. Um, yeah, it's a little heated.
Yeah.
So we have that one. My next worst
Number
is
four.
the American Society. Number four, the American Society of Magical Negroes. This
Oof.
movie didn't need to
Oh yeah.
exist.
Oh yeah.
This movie didn't need to exist.
I'm gonna go in on that one.
It had some promise. I
What
like how the
promise?
story was set up. I like the premise. I did because it is a movie trope that exists. Um, but they just made it weird. It was a social commentary, which I was okay with. But then they made it weird. Um, Two different movies halfway through. Um, it, I, as crazy as stupid as the movie really ended up being, I thought David Allen Greer did a great job still. With acting with what the story was. But yeah, just not. And a lot of people don't like it for other reasons. A lot of people don't like it for many reasons I'm sure you're going to bring up. But I was just disappointed. I actually liked the premise of the movie, and I think you could redo it with the same concept and it'd be a better movie. Um, but it just didn't deliver.
It didn't deliver anything. Nothing but a waste of time. Even for movie theaters because they didn't have it in there for long. I don't know, it was like a week or two.
So yeah, anybody watching this?
Like we tried.
Yeah,
um,
the culture didn't need this.
yeah, but that movie is just straight up garbage. I am going to save the rent for later on because it does fall down the list for me. It's much
Sure.
higher on the list for me. But
Mm.
I'll just say right now, this movie is absolute garbage. It should not exist. It's offensive, and please, Hollywood, never do this again. And whoever directed this, like all the actors in this, they really should be ashamed of themselves. They really should be.
Oh my gosh. I think, but I if you if you read commentary about the phrase that they were going for, it is a logical critique of most of what is deemed as good acting by Black actors in Hollywood that gets rewarded. So think about Halle Berry getting an Oscar for being essentially a sex abused slave. You have what's her in The Help, um, Octavia Spencer, who has such great movies, but she gets her Oscar for being a maid. Um, Mammy, I think, and I forget what movie it is, but the first Black woman to get an Oscar. She's a maid. Um, I think the only exception is Sidney Poitier, uh, Will Smith, and Denzel Washington for having Oscars for, I'll say, non-derogatory roles. But even those that were nominated, so the most recent one I think about is the movie with, oh, I always forget his name, but he was in Moonlight, the
His
lead
last name
actor
Ali.
there. Yes, Ali, who was going to be Blade, but that looks like it's not happening now. Um, the movie, I can't remember if he was nominated, I believe, for an Oscar for the movie that he was in, that he played kind of the smart black character. Um, and then you have the not so smart but streetwise white character, but the black character teaches him everything, and makes him a better person, and he's not racist anymore. So it's like he saves that character. So that is the trope of the magical Negro in Hollywood, where there are black characters who make the white character better in the movie, and it's rewarded. So having a movie to talk about that trope, I think is interesting. But the way they did it in this was just not good.
No, not at all. I really don't have any well, maybe one positive thing to say. Like you said, David Allen Greer, even though, I mean, there's nothing really redeeming about this movie, he does a pretty good job. Um,
He's a great actor.
yeah, but that's it. Everybody else, no, get out of here with that. I don't like this. I'm definitely going to go in on it later on in this
That,
list, but just so you know, it's trash. It's trash.
uh, yeah.
um, my number four is Mia Culpa, another Tyler
Oh,
Perry
it's my number
film.
three.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He makes bad movies every single year. Um, of course, it still makes him a whole bunch of money. That's why he keeps making them. But he consistently makes dumb characters that make dumb decisions, and that's what he does with Kelly Rowland's character in this film. Um, she's a lawyer who is supposed to be talking to this guy who is wanted for murder, or at least on trial for murder, and she just
Right.
stupidly just gets close to him, spends a lot of alone time with him, knowing that he is supposed to be on trial for murder, like murdering his girlfriend. But yeah, she just makes so many dumb decisions. Um, and it, was it like a painting or something that was kind of left out or something like that at the end? It's so stupid, just
Well,
very,
I don't think
very stupid.
her character, yes, was stupid movie. But I think the movie wasn't necessarily bad because of her character. I
No,
think
it's
it was
just not
bad
just her character.
because no. I think it was bad because it chose shock factor over story in a lot of places. So with the guy and his paintings and the whole underground sex ring and him having someone in his apartment and she's I guess turned on by that, but it's awkward. She's awkward about it. Um, it's like, okay, this is different. Um, it doesn't make up for the fact that the story doesn't quite connect in a way that makes sense.
No,
But it tries
not
to
at
be
all.
clever with the whole pictures that change, and he's painting past lovers in the same frame, so he's crazy. I think if they went a little bit more in on him as a person and showed how crazy he was and made it more of a psychological thriller, maybe it would have saved it, but they didn't really do that. He was still just confused, just as confusing as he was when we met him at the end of the movie.
Yeah. Um, and she was manipulated by him, even though he's just a painter. Um, she's supposed to be one who's supposed to be able to guide the conversation as a lawyer, kind of weave her way around conversations, but she doesn't use any of those skills. Um, she makes a lot of bad decisions. He's
Comes
not
off
really a
as
smart guy
desperate.
either. Yeah, yeah, because she had a husband, um, but he lost his job or something. He got drunk on the job or something. I can't remember.
Right. He was, I think, an anesthesiologist and was
Yeah,
drunk.
he was a doctor.
Right. So he lost his job. She's fronting all the money. Um, and gosh, wasn't, oh yeah, his mom was sick, but she actually wasn't sick. And um, the family doesn't like her. And they kind of beat that over the head. Um,
He
so we
had
had a lot going on.
he has like a friend that's almost looks like a girlfriend, but that's who the
Right.
mother wanted him to
But
have.
right, he actually isn't cheating, and she is. So, are we still rooting for you now? Because now you're doing the thing that you thought he was doing, but it's okay because the end of it is like a reverse get out situation. Um, but it had a lot going on in the wrong places.
Yeah, just an awful film. Not good at all. Um, but you said that was your number three, right?
That was my number three.
Okay, so my number three is Venom: The Last Dance, and
I like this one than you did. It's not on my list.
yeah, it's just not good. It's the end of a trilogy, a terrible trilogy that probably should have never been a trilogy. Should have stopped at the first one. Um, but this movie is just ridiculous in so many ways. Just as ridiculous as the second one. Maybe actually it's a little bit better than the second one, but not much. Um, I didn't hate it as much, but it still had so many bad moments. The whole
Yeah.
dance thing with Mrs. Chen just coming out of nowhere, just like why? And for in the context of the movie, it's just stupid because you're gonna get caught. Like, so stupid. Um,
Yeah.
the whole ending where they're trying to get you to have the feels with that song, like, oh, we're gonna miss. No, I'm not missing this at all. Like, you
Not
didn't
at
leave
all.
fast enough. Get out of here. We need another
Yeah.
character. We need somebody else playing this. Like, I don't want this Eddie. I don't want this Venom. Let's end this franchise right now. I'm sick of it. We need the true Venom, not some, I don't know, Spider Man wannabe, but in black. I mean, that's pretty much
Hmm.
what Venom is, but but he
Yeah.
doesn't make a lot of jokes, and that the jokes just I hated it so much because of the jokes because the jokes are not good, and when you just keep piling on, it just makes it look worse.
Yeah, it doesn't land well in many places at all. Um, I think given the direction they took Venom, this was the best way they could have ended it. Um, just doubling down in the unseriousness of it all, which is unfortunate for the character. But I mean, yes, there's a chance to reboot, but I'm not looking. I don't really. I'm tired of Spider-Man on the screen, so I'm okay if they don't reboot Venom. We tried, uh, and this is what we got. So they can't all be winners, and we don't need to go back and try again.
Well, they don't have any winners, not in this. What do you call it? Like they're villain superverse.
Universe, I guess.
They're villains.
Yeah,
I mean, I didn't get to see Craven, but I know people trash that. So,
yeah.
so yeah, there are no winners here. I don't. They probably lost. No, I don't think they lost money on this. Venom was actually a moneymaker for them,
Well, I mean,
unfortunately.
because the character is good. I mean, the character is funny. The story is complete. It's just not at all close to what it should have been for the character if you were looking for the comics to be told on screen. But as far as visually, they did the best they could with the CGI. I wasn't mad at it much because I mean, he gets to be rubbery because of his powers, so he didn't look bad necessarily. And it was a spectacle. I mean, the last fight scene could have been Michael Bay, Transformers, something, Alien versus Predator, essentially.
It
So
wasn't
I
too bad.
understand why it made money and why it was successful in that respect. But I also understand how it was disrespectful for true Venom fans.
Yeah, and I like after we reviewed it, I went back and looked at some people's reaction to some of these things, like in the comments, and people were actually sad that this is ending. I was like, what are you looking at? You actually like this? This is the reason why these movies kept going. Because people like that kept going to the movie theater looking at this trash. I was like, "Ugh,
Yeah.
I'm disgusted." um, what's your number two film?
Number two, we was my Madam Web actually. So we got into that one. I mean, we didn't. I don't know if we said these words, but The whole storyline doesn't make sense. The flash forwards and flashbacks awful. Um, it it's the only superhero movie where the superheroes are only superheroes for less than 5 minutes, and it's in flash forwards that we don't get to actually see. Um, so it it was weird. I don't know if Madam Web should have been a movie anyway.
No.
I don't know how they could have made it good. He's not a main character type character, so they really were stretching it, grasping at straws to um, get a movie out there that was like Spider-Man adjacent. But yeah, just not good. But
Nobody asked for
what
that.
was your nobody asked for that.
What's my number two?
Yeah,
So my number two is not another church movie. I don't know if you
that's my
remember.
number one.
You know.
That is my number one
See.
worst movie.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is pretty bad. I mean, it looks bad. It sounds bad. It's acted very bad. There's
It,
nothing good about this movie.
I mean, it's disrespectful. It is. It's unserious. It is sacrilegious. It is somehow worse than Medea's Halloween Boo 2, whatever it was called.
At least the production looked
It's
okay for that.
it, it at least for this looks like a YouTube movie. You know, back in the day, you could get a little 15-minute film on YouTube, somebody, run around town. That's what this looks like. I've seen knockoff Medea plays that are better than this. Um, why was Kyla Pratt available for this? Did
Why is
Jamie
Jamie
have the
Foxx in
short?
this?
Did he have the short before or after he signed under this role? Um, why is he wearing a pimp wig? I don't. I I don't. I, it. What power and why? Why did Tyler Perry remove his power to allow this to happen? I feel like he has the money to stop stuff like this from existing on this level. And for some reason, he said, "You know what? Go for it." But he was able to get the Boondocks to remove that episode from all online sources. But this came to light. I don't know what deal they made. Um, but it again, nah.
No, I don't know how this movie made it to the movie theater. Um, this is like way back straight to DVD on the clearance rack. Like this should be given away for free. That's how bad this is. Like this is awful. And there are people online defending it, like, "Oh, you missed the point." No, I didn't miss any point.
No,
They missed the point of making a good movie. That's what they missed the point
you
on.
can make a spoof and it be good.
Yeah, and this is not it. I mean,
Series is a spoof and it's good.
the production is awful. The CGI green screen that they use looks like something I don't know from like 10, 15 years ago. I mean, you can do it way better nowadays just with your phone. Um, what's the guy who has had all that plastic surgery? Is it Mickey Rourke? I mean, he just slept walked through this role. It's almost like he didn't even try. That's how bad he was in this film. Like he didn't try at all, not one bit.
No. And yes, I get what they are trying to do. Yes,
I
it's a
don't.
spoof of Tyler Perry. Obviously, it's a spoof of Tyler Perry. It's just picking on the Medea. But I feel like he spoofs himself, and that's why this also didn't work. Like after Diary of a Mad Black Woman, well, I'm gonna focus on the plays, have fun there. But these movies, yeah, I can get it done in a weekend, and he can, and he can. So did the quality change? Yeah. But is he still making millions? Yeah. So he's picking on himself. in real time. So having someone try to pick on someone who's already picking on themselves already doesn't work. Um, and not enough people actually hate Tyler Perry films for this to be a thing. And other spoofs are spoofs in good ways. You know, they're like, yeah, they don't make they're not out to make the movies they're spoofing look bad. They're just taking the ideas and running with it and making a movie. But I think this was done to make those movies look bad or call out tropes that or whatever. But it just
Yeah,
make a
it's
movie
bad.
that bad.
It's super bad. This would have probably been my number one if this other movie didn't exist. But yeah, this is really bad. I mean, they try to be funny, but it's not funny at all. Not one bit. It's really bad. It looks so bad. I just don't know how this got approved to go into the movie theater. I really don't. I it's unimaginable. And the way that Mickey Rourke just sleepwalked through this role, like literally, like he doesn't try at all. I don't know if it's just his face, like just can't move, but he doesn't try at all. Almost like he didn't want to be there. Um, but you said that was your number one, right?
I was reading some of the reviews from Rotten Tomatoes, where one says exceedingly worse than watching any Tyler Perry movie ever made. Um, Tyler Perry already spoofs himself. He beat you to the punch before he got started. Um, it'll never be as enjoyable as A Fall from Grace or Mea Culpa, because those are at least unintentionally funny. Um, but it's just all bad with 13% overall. So not
Should be
technically the
zero.
worst thing, but it should be zero.
Yeah, definitely should be zero. I don't know who gave it any type of points. Um, but my number one, we've already talked about it a little bit, but the American Society of Magical Negroes. This movie is my worst film of 2024 because it's offensive. I don't like the premise of this. Um, I mean, you talked about it about with, making white people more comfortable. That's what um, this whole society was about, and the history of it in films and everything. And with that perspective, I can kind of see maybe having something there a little bit, but the execution was way off. Um, on top of just being super boring. I mean, really boring. And the main character, I'm forgetting his name, but Justice Smith. He's just awkward in almost every film that I've seen him in. Like,
Not just
he.
attacking him as a person. He just, he's just a boring, awkward man.
Well, when you just start to play a character or a role, and then you start playing that character every single film, that
Yeah,
starts to become you, or at least
right,
the perception of you. And he just
right.
keeps doing it. I mean, he did it in Detective Pikachu, um,
Hey,
Jurassic
hey, make that
World.
check.
Yeah, I guess it's working for him. Jurassic
He said The
World.
Rock can do it, so can I.
Well, yeah, he's not going to be making that much money off of this.
Nah.
I mean, he's still getting roles, but still, I don't want him to lose money. I'm just saying this movie's just bad. Um, he's not really a confident guy in most of his roles. He's not in this. He's scared all the time. Um, but yeah, this is just a bad film, just all around bad. I don't like the premise of it. The premise with trying to make white people more comfortable and calm them down so they don't cause a ruckus or I don't know shoot somebody, and then they lose their powers. I forgot how they lose their powers.
They're helping their counterpart, um, and have, I think, a real reaction, the reaction that you're having in real time. They lose their powers.
Yeah, I guess I wiped it from my memory, but yeah, this movie is just not good at all. Um, to me, it was just really offensive. Uh, David Allen Greer, I mean, he did a pretty good job. I did feel for him with his background, with his story that he told about. I think either his father or his grandfather. How um, I don't know, he acted in some way, and I can't remember the exact backstory. I'll have to go back and listen to what we had talked about to give you the full story. But still, that was a pretty good moment. Actually, the only good moment in this film. Everything else, a waste of time. Just trash. Um, Not much really happens. I mean, not much at all. I mean, especially, I mean, you kind of get towards the end and everything kind of just rushes together, and he starts to stand up for himself out of nowhere. Um, Even though he wasn't really doing anything like that before. Uh, but yeah, just a all around really bad film that deserve to not be in the movie theater because they quickly removed it after like a week or so because they were thinking like, oh yeah, this movie is not making any money. And I think it did get some bad publicity leading up to it. Like, I guess people were like, oh, what kind of movie is this?
But I think what um, the movie American Fiction was picking on, this film did in a different way. But this film did, and it tried to be clever, how American Fiction was, but just totally missed that.
Oh yeah, American Fiction was a lot better, so much
Yeah.
better. This isn't even close. Yeah, this is just really bad. Maybe if they had a different leading actor, maybe it would have gone better, maybe a little bit better. But the premise still was not great for me. Uh, yeah, just don't want to see this ever again. We did have some other people in here that maybe said a few jokes, but really, as I was going throughout the film, I was just like, I'm out of this. Like, I don't like this at all. Um, like Nicole Byer, I mean, she, you know, I think she was a little entertaining throughout a little bit, but outside of that, not much to really um, grasp on with that film. But let's switch over to our best films. So, what's your number five best film of 2024?
But number five best film was Civil War. Cinematically, I thought it was really good. I like the perception. I like the story. I like having the political fight, the war, without getting into it, because when you do that, you got to pick who's right or wrong. And they avoided that by just documenting the chaos that would ensue in everyday Americans' lives if we went to war today. And that's interesting because I think we're getting close. So I, it's just nice to see, huh? I think that that is how it would go. I concur. So it was nice to see that from that lens, and it made me think about what I would do. Um, where do you go? But do you live in the suburbs where you can pretend it's not happening? Do you leave the country? Do you pick how you pick a side? Is family torn? It's very interesting how that would play out in real life because we have culture wars as US citizens against each other. But we have not crossed the line into civil war, and it's something that everyone's curious about. So I enjoyed watching the movie.
Well, I think all that stuff is really good because a lot of that stuff, I mean, it kind of does happen in this film, but it happens in the background, and we don't really get a true um, visual of all those things. Instead, we get the photographers, which is the worst part to focus on, and that's where I didn't like it. So,
That could be
um,
worse roles. You could have focused on someone who works at McDonald's. There's worse things.
yeah, I mean, I guess maybe the movie would have changed, if you would have gotten the different perspectives, like you said, culture wars, or like, you know, maybe you just present both sides and just leave it there. Like you just don't try to have it sway to one side or the other when you're presenting both sides. Like you're not trying to say, oh, this is the hero, this is the villain. It's like, oh, these people want this, these people want that. Maybe they could have done it that way, but I just didn't like the approach that they took following these photographers throughout the whole film.
And I doubt this will be the last movie like this, where we'll get more and more kind of perspective films um, on that possible reality. Um, I think after the next 4 years, we'll see more of those films. I'm sure, certain.
Yeah, like you said, a lot of these things, like culture wars, haven't crossed over into real life. Well, not on a wide margin, but it happens a lot on social media, especially on X. I mean, that is a toxic place for many things. I mean, that X is just like, wow. um, but my number five is The Beekeeper. So, The Beekeeper is about this man who goes out and, protects his hive. And his hive meaning like, the people that he cares about and things like that. And then this, um, Felicia Rashad, she is a retired woman who takes care of this man who we call the beekeeper. And she ends up killing herself because um, this company scammed her out of all of her money and assets. And I just felt like it was so satisfying seeing them just get destroyed by him just relentlessly. And it was also funny just seeing them just get destroyed. Because you can just imagine just being scammed out of all of your assets, all of your money that you've worked all your life for. And now it's just gone just like that because some clown went and, got into your accounts and just stole it. So for me, it just made it very satisfying for him to just rip through all those people and kill them.
Yeah. Right. It was definitely filmed well. He was in his element. He wasn't trying to play some goofy character alongside The Rock. So it's good. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Um, yeah.
I was actually grasping for my top five because I didn't find a lot of these films great throughout the year. But
hmm
what's your
hmm
number four?
Number four is let's see, Roadhouse. So Jake Gyllenhaal. I did. Yeah, I thought it was really good.
No, 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 it's good. It's good.
I thought it was a great revival of an old name. Um, it was filmed well. I thought the story looked good. It looked good. The fighting was good. It was just a good watch. I didn't have much complaints going through it. I mean, they had some of the whole like I feel like it's not humanly possible stuff at the end, but um, overall, I thought it was entertaining.
Yeah, I agree. It was pretty entertaining. It was filmed very well. Jake Gyllenhaal showing off his fighting powers, and also against like a previous MMA fighter. Um, I don't know why his name is escaping me, but yeah, they had some super powered type of fights in there where those guys definitely should have been down for the count after a few hits. But overall, really good film. But my number four is Inside Out 2, which I
Okay,
thought,
number four.
yeah, I really enjoyed it. The sequel to the first Inside Out, which has been about 10 years. And
Yeah.
we follow Riley. I had to think of her name. She's,
Yes.
she's growing up. She's now in her teenage years, about to go to high school, trying to fit in and also spend some time with her friends. This will be her last summer with them, but she's really freaking out about what's going to happen going into high school, maybe having to make some new friends and being on the team, and her emotions get the best of her and all those things. Um, but I thought they did very well. They bring in a lot of funny moments, some callbacks, and wrap it up very well.
Yeah, I loved Inside Out too. It's crazy. It was 10 years from the first one. I didn't think it was that old. Um, and I've watched it a couple times since then. It somehow catches kids and catches their attention. They can follow along the story. It opens up conversations about anxiety, stress, depression, puberty, but in a way that's never been done before. Giving visualization to these feelings, these emotions, um, in a way that only Pixar and Disney can do. And for all the things they've done wrong, Inside Out makes up for a lot of them as far as good movie making and storytelling. So I really enjoyed Inside Out too.
Yeah, me too, definitely. And when you say like wrong, do you mean the other films that they've made recently
The
in the
other
past few
films,
years?
even though I may have liked them critically, they were not well received. Thinking about like Lightyear, for
That was the first
example,
one I was thinking of.
or oh yeah, so it wasn't received well. Even though I thought it was still a good movie,
It
it
was
was not
fine.
received well. And then they had the other one. It was like Journey to the Center of the Earth, but
I didn't see that.
not. It was called something else. We watched it. It was something else. Um, they had Gabrielle Union as the mother and aliens. I don't know. I forget what it was, but it wasn't well received. The Good Dinosaur. I love that one. Not everybody loves it.
Didn't see it.
Um, that's it. That's it. But Inside Out too. No, does great. Casting is wonderful. Um, everything. Yeah, I didn't see a mistake in that one.
Yeah, definitely a really good film. Even though it is a really good film, still not like it's. I still don't think it will fall into my top 5 or 10 top Disney films.
Sure.
Um, but still, overall, really good. But what's your number 3 film of 2024?
Number three, we've touched on, um, and I'll say with the top five, they're all really close, even though they're different orders. Um, but American Fiction was number three on my list, and we talked about it a little bit um, in comparison to some of the worst movies. But no, I thought the acting was great, the casting was good, the storyline. It put everything into question at the end in a really cool way. Um, and it's not often you have, I'll say, a mature film that is so charismatic and interesting. Um, you get to see some versatility uh, in what's his face from This Is Us, Sterling K. Brown. You see a character that he plays that is unbuttoned, very um, lost and finding himself, which is very different. A lot of the roles he plays, where he's very sure, very strong. Um, so that was different. Yeah, that was a. I wasn't expecting that one to be very good, but I love it.
Oh yeah, it's a really great film. I definitely did enjoy it. I'm not familiar with the main guy. He's probably been in some other movies, but I'm not really familiar with his acting. But he did a really good job.
Yeah,
Um, and they make it funny. Like it's not just like um, everybody being all serious. Social commentary, but he just like I just want to be known as this. Um, as a writer. You know, I don't want to just be put in a box. Things like that. And we get the other side of that perspective too. But overall, really good film. Highly recommend. But my number 3 is Deadpool and Wolverine. Um, this was kind of like an Avengers film for me because you have so many different characters from
yeah,
other Marvel franchises that we've seen, and also characters that we were supposed to see that never came, but we got it in this way. Um, I think the opening scene that they have is top notch. Definitely one of the best opening scenes that I've ever seen in a film. It's funny, it's action heavy, um, and it has a banger. I think that's what really sells it for me. That it's a banger with the Backstreet Boys. Um, really brought back some early 2000s memories of listening to that song on repeat. But there's that. I guess a little bit of world building. Um, I guess not the best action at the end, or maybe I guess CGI at the end of this with all those Deadpools. But overall, highly satisfied with the film. Got to see uh, what's his name, Chris Evans as back as the Human Torch. Um, Not for long, maybe for like 5 minutes, but he didn't last too long in this film. Um, but I just liked everything that they brought with the film because I mean it was everybody coming back. You got Hugh Jackman coming back as Wolverine, and of course you gotta have the superheroes fight. So Deadpool and Wolverine going up against each other, fighting for hours upon hours, and really nobody dies. Overall, just highly recommend for that film.
That was actually my number two. Um,
Okay.
Top two for all the reasons you said. But I'm curious, have you seen any of the controversy that's come out recently about this film?
Um. Well, I think Ryan Reynolds is in a little bit of a trouble, but
Yes.
now is it because of the film or is it? I haven't really read
Yes
everything.
and no. Yes and no. So essentially, Nice Pool, um, the character that one of the variants of Deadpool who's very nice with long hair. Apparently, and I'm forgetting his name, but he is a director who Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds' wife, um, filed a complaint on for inappropriate behavior that he claims was not inappropriate, but is now suing the media company that released the story of the complaint. This was a film they were doing, I guess, when she was breastfeeding, and he was in the room when she breastfed, and there were some comments, but apparently he was invited. It's, he said, she said, allegedly stuff. But after that, um, Ryan Reynolds, of course, being the guy that he is, has trolled that person, and that person says he believes almost like defamation, to an extent that Nice Pool is based on him. Um, so he is, I don't know if he's sued yet or is collecting information to sue potentially, because of that. So on its face, people were like, oh, that's kind of stupid that you think the character is so much like you, but it's one of the best characters in the movie. That's kind of a compliment, but also maybe you're really self-centered to think, why would he think about you? But once you read a lot of the documents, it does seem like it was they were. I mean, the Canadian thing is they're all Canadian, but it seems like the jokes and stuff were based on him, which he's taking offense to, and he probably wouldn't have gone to these extents with those issues had Blake Lively not filed her complaint against him. Um, but she has not sued him. She just filed a complaint, um, with an ethics board, I guess. But he is suing the media company that released that. Um, and so it's interesting. It's a rich people problem, really. Stuff that would never happen in my life. Um, but yeah, Nice Pool. Um, could be at the center of a court case we get to watch one day.
Yeah, I'm kind of hearing this is kind of like I mean, because they have a feud going on too between the both of them. With Ryan Reynolds and
Yes,
Blake Lively, almost
yes,
like a Johnny Depp and Amber Heard type of situation.
yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't even know they were together. I mean, I don't really, I guess, watch her films. I don't know what
Sure.
film she's been in recently.
Well, I guess I don't either, so I can't say I know.
I mean, I've definitely heard of her, but I can't tell you what I've seen her in. Um, but yeah, I guess that'll be interesting. I guess. Um, but yeah, that's
Yeah, it didn't
unfortunate.
take anything away from the movie at all, but
No, not at all. I mean, I still don't even think about that, even after you saying that.
no.
But hopefully they can figure it out. I mean, um, I just hear there's just a lot of back and forth going on with them, and they, I don't know, I guess could be splitting at some point. I guess they've been together for a very long time, maybe over like 10 years or something. I think they also said something about Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds being like the best of buddies for many years, which I didn't even know anything about that.
Yeah, they actually are friends.
I guess it started with the best of the best, maybe the best X-Men film ever, X-Men Origins.
I think it might have been older than that. I think they might have talked outside of that. But it is interesting how I don't know the history of the film of X-Men Flash Marvel is it can definitely be stated on its own. The influence that X-Men had, the changes that it's made, and how it's really supposedly the next 10, 15 years or so gonna be the focus of the MCU and Kevin Feige getting his start on the X-Men movies and becoming so it's a lot of intertwining lore there that's interesting to read about.
Yeah, most definitely. But you said that was your number two, right?
Yep, that was number two.
Okay, so my number two is the most recent film is Sonic 3. Um,
Interesting. Wow, jumped up.
yeah, it really did. Made a last ditch effort and jumped up to the top. I mean, this is mostly on nostalgia. That's why I have this high. Um, I do
Mm.
actually want to play the game that recently just came out with Sonic, the Sonic X Generations, because it has Shadow in it, and also has, I think, Keanu Reeves playing the voice character in that. Um, so yeah, Sonic 3 definitely jumped up for me. I think the visuals are very nice in the film. The fight that they have with Shadow, Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails, and then Robotnik with Jim Carrey playing the character twice on screen within the same scenes. Really nice. Uh, we had classic Jim Carrey. Um, and then just so many visual effects that are just really nice in the film. Like nothing looks like it's really rubbery or fake. I think they really spent their money really well on Sonic. I think they have perfected um, the visuals that they do with Sonic and his whole team with Knuckles and Shadow and um, Tails. Uh, but overall, I think it's a really good film that everybody should see.
But it's definitely up there with the top tier of adaptations to film. Um, and making news stories, not just rehashing things, not doing a screen for screen comparison to stories you already know, telling news stories, good actors, money's going towards it. It all works. So it's definitely good. Um, my number one is actually what I talked about, Inside Out 2. I nostalgia in a different way. Can you have nostalgia? At 10 years, the first one's 10 years old, so that's a decade. So, um, but no, for all the reasons we talked about earlier, Inside Out 2 is definitely one of the better films, or the best film, I think, that I watched in 2024. For the emotional pull in watching it, it's watching it from the perspective as someone who has gone through those changes, watching it from the perspective of someone who's a parent. Um, yeah, it's very the psychologist they got working on that to help with that script, doing great things.
Yeah, I agree. They definitely put a lot of work into it. with the animation, the story, uh, all the people behind it, and it's a Pixar film, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they always bring their, well, 9 times out of 10 they bring their best.
Ah,
And
they
they
try.
bring their
They
best,
try.
and it's pretty much always Oscar. It's almost always Oscar worthy, and I'm not
Right.
sure. We haven't hit the full award season, have we?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, most likely it's gonna be up for an award. And if it doesn't win, it'll be pretty close. Um, so it's definitely up there. Really great film, must watch for anybody. Doesn't matter what age, and you can get something from it.
Yeah. Yeah. I would 100% agree.
Yeah. So my number one, and I'm surprised this didn't come on your list at all, but Transformers One. Um, this was a big this was a big surprise to me how good it was. I really did enjoy this. Uh, we have Optimus Prime and Megatron before they become those people. Um, it's what, D16 and Orion Pax. They're just worker bots, just doing their own thing, but they're adventurous and they're the best of friends. And up until they find out that their hero isn't exactly who he is or who they think that he is. And through that they gain some great powers, but end up on different sides of the coin and end up having to fight each other at some point. But the action is great. The jokes are really good. We get B. Um, he's talking and everything. He has his voice for once, and hopefully it sticks around. Unfortunately, this movie didn't make a lot of money. Um,
Yeah.
Hopefully they make another one. But I thought it was overall just an amazing film.
It was good, and I was surprised at how well it was able to create an origin story for a franchise that I thought I knew very well. Um, it it captured kids as well as old school fans. Um, it didn't rely on, I guess, name power of voice actors like the Transformers that I grew up with. That was all product placement and other actors, but I still love it for different reasons. Anthony Anderson being in the Transformers movie with Tyrese, I just feel like, that doesn't happen, Not today, not
Nah.
anymore. In the 2000s, you're just making money to sell toys at Burger King. I liked it that way. Okay. Pepsi at every shot. Um, you know, it was American flag, Michael Bay explosions, nostalgia. But this was a different take. This is a very different take. Almost felt like an anime a little bit, with the storytelling and the villain origin specifically. And it's a franchise I'm looking forward to. And it's also something where I'm like, okay, animation is not dead. Not everything needs to be Mufasa. Not everything needs to be uh, Sonic, even. We don't need to see everything in the real world. We can still make good movies as cartoons. And it's super computerized anyway. Um, and it's okay for cartoons to be cartoons.
Yeah. Um, I wonder if they have ever thought to do it the other way around. I mean, I'm pretty sure they have, but
Mm.
maybe from live action to cartoon, see if that works any better for them.
Uh, that's something that's happened with movies in the past to make TV shows or little side movie projects. Trying to think about one that comes to mind. The Mask. Didn't they do that as a cartoon? Feel like
they they might have. I'm not sure.
they
I'm pretty
weren't
sure I didn't
popular.
watch it.
No, a lot of them weren't popular going to animation like that because it's like it's a cheap way to make more money off the title, but it's still a pretty different situation. Um, I don't know. I don't know what
Yeah,
franchise, what
and
movie I would pick to do that with. I mean, you could argue the What If series is doing that. It's over now, but because they have some of the voice actors from the live action movies, so in a way,
yeah, yeah, that's a good example. Um, did you see Mufasa? I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't watched it. I haven't watched it. I'm going to. It's you know, the Dusty Desert doesn't really appeal to me. That's not the Lion King. I know the Lion King is colorful, vibrant. Um, and Mufasa is James Earl Jones. You know, Aaron Pierre's cool, but he's obviously built to be Scar. So, you know, I'll watch it eventually. I'm sure it's fine. Um, I'm sure it's a creative tale, but it's not Lion King 1.5. That's the prequel I needed, and I got it already. So I don't need this. I don't know who Mufasa's for. I guess
um,
just ultimate Disney fans.
I think it's just a
Anyone?
cash grab.
Just really, yeah. Didn't need to exist. No one asked for this.
No, but hey, I guess they got it out there. I think it's probably super expensive. I don't think it made its money because I think it came out around the same time as Sonic, or Sonic might have came in like right
Mm,
after and kind of blew them out. But yeah, I'm gonna eventually watch it. But for Transformers One, um, it's animated very well. It does almost everything right. Uh, I would say probably now. I think we did talk about this, but it's probably the best Transformers film. When you think about it from top to bottom, the story and visuals.
just because something is a good story doesn't mean it's the best movie.
Let's say that again.
Just because something is a good story, well written, doesn't mean it is a better movie by
Well,
default.
that seems like that is. I mean, by definition.
No, no, it just means it's written really well, but doesn't mean that it makes you feel the same way a good
Were you
movie
talking about
can make you
nostalgia?
feel. I am talking about good movies. And if it just so happens that good movie is older than the movie we're talking about, then so be it. But I just can't call this movie the best Transformers when we had Bernie Mac in a Transformers movie. I just.
What- See, all you're talking about is nostalgia. Now, let's put these in reverse. If you saw Transformers one first before you saw that
Mhm.
2007 one, like let's say the 2007 one, somehow we got all the same actors. It came out
Sure.
last year, and then the Transformers one came out way back then.
Mhm.
You would probably pick Transformers one.
No, no. The same reason, but I'll tell you, it's the same reason that the Transformer cartoon TV show is probably written better than the live action from 2007. But when I say I'm thinking about Transformers, I am thinking about 2007. I can smell the popcorn. Yes, it's nostalgia, but also it's a moment. It's a whole. This new Transformers 1 was not a moment. People aren't, people who aren't Transformers fans aren't going to see this. And whenever you make a movie and it branches out to people who are fans of the movie, without having any back knowledge, without any interest, then you have a good movie. Transformers 1 is good, but it's not the same kind of good.
So you're saying it's not transcendent across fan population?
No, no. The first Transformers, you could have a guy 65 years old, never seen Transformers before, watch that movie and go, wow, that was
This is
something.
trash. Sorry, I'm joking.
No, yes, there's nothing. But that same man would watch Transformers 1 and fall asleep.
What? No.
I'm
That's not
just
true.
saying.
That's like saying it's boring, and it's not.
It's not that it's boring, but it's not what makes traditionally across audience demographic movies good. And maybe that's the limitation of being a cartoon. Maybe that's it. I don't know.
Possibly, but I mean, we've seen cartoons make a lot of money. I think the
Eh,
Transformers franchise has just done so bad over the last at least five
in
years.
recent years, yeah, yeah,
That's what deterred a lot of people, and they just didn't know what this was.
it's possible. It's
But it used
possible.
to.
I definitely didn't pick up on the depths of it based on the trailers.
No, I don't think anybody did. But
No,
they've ruined the name so much. That's why people didn't show up. So, um, they just got to build that the fan base back up, or at least build the trust back up with the fan base.
right.
But I think that does it for our list. Do you have any other comments?
No, I think that does. I mean, it was a good year for movies, and we'll see what happens now. I mean, we have movies post the actors' strike. We have things post COVID filming process. Um, so there's the resurgence. People are going back to the theaters. Um, so hopefully that trend continues, and it means good movies are on the way.
Yeah, good original movies. Let's get some more of
Yeah,
those.
yeah, yeah.
Sequels, remakes, and reboots. We've had a lot of those. We need some more original things. Not saying I don't want any of those types, remakes, reboots, whatever, but I don't want those to be dominated by the movie theater.
Yeah, I feel
But
that.
but I think that does it for us at Anim Reviews. Thank you everybody for listening. Make sure to check out our other platforms, including YouTube, Instagram, and X, which are all linked in the description. And if you want to send us a message, click the message link to get featured on the show. And thanks for listening.